Hello, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to you all, wherever you're watching us from. You're watching Smart 24, where we drive your business. My name is Anthony, and I am your host. And this is Financial Markets. It's exactly 7 minutes past the hour of 11, and it's the 16th of June, Thursday morning. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this, of course, Thursday. Now today, in a very special way, we have an event that is going down at Serena Hotel, and that is the inaugural meeting, the annual general meeting of Sanlam. Now Sanlam is an investment financial service company that specializes in products like insurance and of course healthcare, savings and other products that are tailored for customers in order to be able to save and invest wisely. Sanlam has been in existence for over 120 years, since 1888. That is, of course, back then when it was started in South Africa. It's headquartered, of course, in South Africa, with presence in 30 countries in Africa and other countries abroad that have developed markets such as Malaysia and Indonesia. They're specializing, of course, as I already mentioned, in insurance, savings and investment, corporate saving, asset and wealth management, retail credit, and financial planning and advice, as well as healthcare. Of course, they have partnerships with several banks, telecoms, financial services, non-financial services, retailers, and strategic core investors in Africa, with a wide range of investments ranging from, of course, equities, bonds and bills, and other private investments that they have made. Now today, they are hosting their first, that is their inaugural annual general meeting here in Uganda, and it's going down at Serena Hotel in Kampala right now. And of course, in a few seconds, we are going to be, of course, having a look at what's going down right there with, of course, Miss Naomi Mutumba. I don't know if she can hear me. Naomi, can you hear me? Of course, we shall be bringing her later on as we move forward. But of course, Sanlam has been here on the show before, especially to talk about their collective investment scheme, which is a way they help people who are saving to put together funds in a pool and invest those funds in capital and money markets, including treasury bonds and bills, including equities and the like. Of course, they have already made a name in the sector, being licensed by the Capital Markets Authority to have a collective investment scheme where several Ugandans have actually benefited from saving and having their savings make them a little bit more money. So we are going to see the event right there as it unfolds. And of course, it's going to be Miss Naomi right there to give us whatever is happening. Naomi, can you hear me? Yes, of course, as we sort that technical glitch, I was just saying Sanlam is a company that has made a name in collective investment schemes in particular in the recent past. Of course, with the Minister of Finance, Matia Kasaija, declaring, of course, in a report that Ugandans have invested over 1.15 trillion over the past 3 months. That is in the first quarter of the year 2022. That has seen a growth of over 47% in the collective investment schemes. And of course, Sanlam has contributed a lot to this, and we hope to hear from them in their annual general meeting how much money they are handling, how much funds at the moment are they handling and investing, especially in this docket of collective investment scheme. Those of you who don't understand this, it's simply a pool of funds where people put together their monies, their savings, and the fund manager, in this case, which is Sanlam, helps them invest those savings in different securities such as treasury bonds, treasury bills, and the equities. And of course, this depends on the customer's risk appetite and how risk averse they are. And this Sanlam has come to give a hand to investors by giving them opportunity to interact with professionals and these financial analysts, financial advisors who can help invest people's money wisely. And this is exactly what Sanlam stands for. Now, of course, we are joined by Miss Naomi, who is at Serena Hotel, Kampala. Miss Naomi, can you hear me? We are going to go to Serena Hotel right now and, of course, get to hear from Miss Naomi and team who are already on ground to see what's happening at the annual general meeting of Sanlam.
Unit holders annual general meeting. Right now, we are into.
Over to you now.
After the prayer, I'm going to take you right away into the panelists, and they will be sharing what has happened within the financial year, because it is the first time that they are doing actually this. But before we start, Sanlam is actually licensed by the Capital Markets Authority, but also, and it helps in managing money on behalf of investors. So let me take you right away to the panelists.
Today's AGM, I think it's very important. As you can see, 6 people seated right ahead of you. So I think the best place to start is for me to introduce to you the team that's on the panel seated ahead here. More importantly, for the Sanlam Income Fund AGM. I'm also going to ask everyone to wave when I call their names. We shall begin. I'd like to first introduce you to Mr. Jonathan Stitchbury, who is the Chief Executive Officer and also the Managing Director, Sanlam Investments East Africa Limited. Seated on his right is Claire Lubuye, who's representing the trustee from Standard Chartered Bank. Next, I'd like to call Rosalind Ochola, who's the custodian representing Standard Chartered Bank as well. Seated next to Rosalind, we have Mr. Sebugwao Paul, who is our company secretary. We also have Mr. Clive Mayombe, who's our external auditor representing PricewaterhouseCoopers. Last but not least is our very local talented person, Mr. Mubali Mugalia, who is representing Sanlam Investments as the fund manager as well. Most of you will know Mubali. He's a celebrity in town, so that's the easiest one. Apart from that, I'd also like to acknowledge and thank all the Sanlam Investments East Africa team that are following these proceedings, and just to thank them for the continued support they've given us to the Prime as well. To start today's AGM, I'd like to call upon our company secretary, Mr. Segugwao Paul, to confirm whether we have a quorum to start this meeting.
Thank you, MC. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. As earlier introduced, my name is Sebugwao Paul. I shall be acting for Sebugwao and Company Advocates, the trust secretaries. We are glad to be part of this scheme. In line with Regulation 111 of the Collective Investment Schemes Unit Trust Regulations, and in line with Section 43(1) of the Sanlam Unit Trust Deed, I hereby confirm that the number of unit holders present represent 68% in value of all the units. This is over and above the required 10%. Chairperson, unit holders, and all members present, I hereby further confirm that we have the holders needed to constitute a quorum for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul, for confirming that we do have a quorum to proceed. That being said, I declare this AGM to be properly convened and constituted. To begin with today's AGM, I'd like to call none other than our Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director, Mr. Jonathan Stitchbury, to begin with his opening remarks. For those of you who are not aware, Jonathan has been at the helm of the fund for the last 2 decades. He has in fact seen this baby, I would call it a baby when it was very small, and he's turned this to the largest fund manager across both countries, that being Kenya and Uganda. That being said, I'd like to call Jonathan up. Thank you.
Many thanks, Garang, for those kind words of introduction. Distinguished guests, unit holders, and fellow service providers. As Garang said, my name is Jonathan Stitchbury, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Sanlam Investments East Africa Limited. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to this, our first AGM. I'd just like to spend a few minutes talking about three things. First of all, the Sanlam Group. Secondly, Sanlam Investments East Africa. And thirdly, which is the fund manager for the unit trust scheme. And thirdly, I'll talk a little bit about our service offering and our approach to investment, which I think is quite unique. So first of all, starting with the Sanlam Group. The Sanlam Group is a diversified financial services company. It actually celebrated its 100th anniversary a couple of years ago. It has over 150,000 employees and over 10 million clients. Importantly, it's committed to Africa, operates in 34 different countries in Africa, which I think gives it the biggest footprint of any non-banking financial service provider on the continent. The company is listed on the Johannesburg and Namibian stock exchanges, and its market capitalization is in excess of $8 billion US. It's a strong company financially, and it has a ZA A+ rating as conferred by S&P as at 31st of December 2021. In Uganda, the Sanlam Group is represented by Sanlam Life, Sanlam General Insurance, and of course ourselves, Sanlam Investments East Africa Limited. Turning now to Sanlam Investments East Africa Limited, sometimes known as SEAL. First of all, the ownership structure shows on the left-hand side of this slide that we're a subsidiary of the Sanlam Group. 51% is owned by Sanlam and 49% by local East African investors. On the right-hand side of the slide, we show some key financials as of December last year. Shows that we have a strong balance sheet, and the company has been consistently profitable over the years. And we also, at the bottom of that slide, we show that our liquidity and capital requirements well exceed those required by our regulators. Turning to regulators, maybe before I turn to regulators, I should just say that we've been managing assets for clients in the region since 1999, and specifically in Uganda since 2004. We're licensed by the Capital Markets Authority in Uganda, the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority, and in Kenya by the CMA and the Retirement Benefits Authority there as well. I think one of the things which differentiates us as a fund management company is our focus. We are focused on fund management. We're not owned by a bank, for example, or we don't own a stockbrokerage, so we've got no conflicts of interest. Our business is about generating the highest returns for our clients on a risk-adjusted basis, and I'll show you in the next few slides how our business has grown. That means we're research-driven and we're fully resourced, with 45 employees full-time and 5 CFA charter holders. In addition, Sanlam Investments has a practicing license from ASIFA, and 10 of our staff members are actually ASIFA approved and licensed. 55% of our employees are women, and culturally we like to think, or we want to lead the industry in terms of standards, and I think we have attempted and succeeded in leading the industry in areas like governance, ethics, compliance and transparency, which are so important in a business which is ultimately of trust. And where does that take us? Well, what we show here is that our people and our culture have led us to grow. AUM stands for Assets Under Management, and it shows here how our assets under management of clients' assets in Uganda have grown consistently over the years and actually have reached about 1.6, nearly 1.7 trillion Ugandan shillings as at the end of April, which is around $430 million. This makes us a market leader. Overall, Sanlam Investments East Africa manages over $3 billion worth of clients' assets, be that split between Uganda, Kenya and international investors as well, but all managed from East Africa. In Kenya, we show on the left-hand side our market share in the pension sector, where you can see we have 20% market share and are the leader. And in Uganda, on the right-hand side of the slide, we show our market share in the Ugandan pension sector, where we have 43% market share. And these numbers come from the various regulatory authorities. This wouldn't happen without a strong team and a committed team. And I show here some members of our management team and also of the unit trust team who manage and look after this product. As Garang's mentioned, I've been with the firm for over 2 decades, as has our Chief Investment Officer, Nicholas Malaki. The average tenure of our management team is actually over 8 years, and we're joined with us today a number of members of the team. I'm just going to ask Mark Malacha to put his hand up. He's our Chief Operating Officer. Thank you, Mark. We've mentioned Mabali. We've got Lorna Indurangu, who's Head of Operations. Lorna, there we are. Thank you. I recognise, of course, our MC, Garang Chavda, Head of Retail Distribution. And we've already heard from Gloria Ahi Chirzira, who is a portfolio manager with the unit trust as well. Thank you, Gloria. So this depth of resource is very important, as is the continuity that it provides. And this allows us to offer a wide variety of products to our clients, but they can be split into 3 main categories. First of all, segregated pension fund and institutional fund management, whereas as I've just said, managing money for large pension funds, both locally and internationally. Second is our unit trust business, where we have 1 unit trust in Uganda, and 3 in Kenya. And third is our corporate cash management solutions, whereby companies come to us and ask us to look after their working capital and invest in a way that maximizes returns whilst meeting their liquidity requirements. I mentioned governance, risk before, and I think it's important to emphasize that we place substantial importance upon risk controls. Especially, we can take consideration of liquidity constraints and cash flow requirements for clients, and we have very strong and robust control systems. We use a system called BRIMS, which ensures compliance with regulatory limits, controls allocations of trades to counterparties and to banks, and we also use a system called STAR Compliance, which is a compliance and regulatory monitoring system which also controls conflicts of interest. All of our policies and standards are designed to offer safety and confidentiality of client information, and as I think was experienced during the pandemic period, our business continuity plans are well tried and tested and robust. So my last slide to you is, first of all, just to thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being our clients. I'd just like to assure you that at Sanlam Investments East Africa, we have a very strong emphasis on capital preservation. Our investment approach is to be prudent but we are seeking to achieve consistent and competitive investment returns on behalf of our clients. We provide regular interactions with our team, and we are absolutely committed to transparent and ethical practices. Thank you once again for joining us today, and I look forward to the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for showing to all of you holders that are here that, in fact, Sanlam Investment Staff have been the largest fund and that they invested with the right investment partner. But more importantly, that we're continuously focusing on capital preservation, making sure that we're able to provide transparent practices to them as well. Thank you for that, Jonathan. We shall now move on by inviting our secretary again, Mr. Paul, to read out the notice for today's AGM. Yes, please.
Thank you again, MC. Notice for this meeting was issued to the holders on the 2nd of June 2022 through an email notification, and the same was published on our website. This notice was served over and above the required 14 days. I believe the unit holders present have read through and appreciated the content. However, the same has been projected for an easy read. The highlights, as indicated, are, I don't know whether we can all view the same. So the highlights are to read the notice convening the meeting and confirm presence of a quorum, to consider and, if approved, adopt the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2021, together with the custody report, the trustee report, the investigation report, and the reports of the auditors, and to transact any other business of the umbrella fund of which due notice has been received. So those are the highlights of this notice. Thank you, MC.
Thank you, Mr. Paul, for that. I shall now take this opportunity as well to invite our corporate trustee representing Standard Chartered Bank, Claire Lumbuyu, who's going to present their report for the year ended 31st December 2021.
Good morning, everyone. We, Standard Chartered Bank, Uganda Limited, in our capacity as the trustee of the Sanlam Income Fund, hereby confirm that as required in terms of Section 121, 1 and 2 of the Collective Investment Schemes Unit Trust Regulations 2003, that A, to the best of our knowledge, Sanlam Investment East Africa Limited has managed the fund in accordance with the limitations imposed on the investment and borrowing powers of the fund manager and trustee by the Capital Markets Authority Act, the Collective Investment Schemes or Unit Trust Regulations 2003, and the trust deed, and B, there are no deviations from any of the provisions of the trust deed and the above regulations. We would like to confirm that as required by the Collective Investment Schemes or Unit Trusts Regulations 2003, Section 92, brackets 2, we are satisfied that the fund has maintained sufficient records of which these financial statements are part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you very much for that, Claire. I shall now call upon the fund manager being represented by Mr. Mubale. As earlier mentioned, Mubale is a celebrity in Kampala. Apart from that, if you're not aware, Mubale also made it close to making it to the Guinness Book of World Records for having a name that's a tongue twister, but I'll have him pronounce his name again so we can get used to it as well. So, Mr. Mubale, Mugalia.
Good morning, unit holders. Good morning, everyone. It gives me great joy to take you through our investment report during this first AGM for us. I'll start by highlighting the journey that we've been on for the past 1 year, and also highlight how our fund is doing, as well as the investment markets we are actually participating in. Last but not least, I'll also reconfirm what the strategy is for the fund and continue to invite you to remain invested with us. During the last quarter of 2020, we received regulatory approval to operate unit trusts in Uganda. As a company, we had been operating investment management services for corporates, and we did subsequently apply to Capital Markets Authority in order to start unit trusts in Uganda. We, in the first quarter of 2021, which also coincided with continuation of lockdowns, we managed to ensure that all the requirements from a governance perspective were in place for us to start operations in the second quarter of 2022. So my presentation today, in terms of performance, will also highlight that we operated from around April to the end of the year. And around September, in the third quarter, we had a launch. Again, because of lockdowns, we had to do it in a lockdown fashion. It was majorly online. And we are glad and confident that by the end of the year, we had approached towards 10 billion worth of investors' money in the fund. So those were the major highlights for 2021. And with respect to the investment environment, given that our fund is primarily invested in securities that generate interest for us, there are four major considerations that we feel are important to the unit holders. One is to look at the overall economy in a sense that it continues to grow. Despite the challenges of COVID, the economy as at the end of 2021 was projected to have grown to about 42 billion US dollars. Our expectation as a team is, I think if you take note of the budget that was read 2 days ago, the projection is for the economy to grow to about $45 billion. But a major part of that growth is definitely going to be driven by spending by government, and also the developments that we are seeing in the oil sector. The second point I would want to make is around inflation, which has taken center stage at this point in time. The current rate stands above 6%, but if you look at it over the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, inflation was relatively low, at about 2.8 and 2.2% respectively. So under the current circumstances, it would be fair to say that 2021, by the time we end the year, definitely the inflation would be much higher than it was in 2021. The third item is with respect to our currency. And as participants in financial markets, I think we've witnessed some periods of volatility. Just to confirm that in 2020, December, our currency was at 3,650. By the time we ended the financial year we are looking at, it had significantly appreciated to 3,540. As we speak right now, or in the recent weeks, we have actually traded the Uganda shilling at about 3,800 to the dollar. So we continue to see quite some volatility on our currency. And in a nutshell, it is a simple equation of demand and supply. Anytime we have an excess demand of dollars, we would expect our currency to weaken. And when we do have a surplus of dollars coming into the country, then the currency should strengthen. Last but not least is related to the amount of government securities that are issued domestically by the Minister of Finance through Bank of Uganda. These are basically treasury bills and bonds in which our fund is primarily invested. So just to note that between 2020 and 2021, definitely the volume that is outstanding on these securities, these borrowings that have been done by government domestically, had grown from about 24 trillion to about 28 trillion. And our thinking is definitely government continues to borrow to finance spending, and we expect that number to also rise in 2022. So given that most of our investments are actually in government securities or interest-bearing securities, it is important to explain to the members what transpired through 2021. As you can see, the currency was not the only volatile aspect, but also interest rates did change within the year, and there were quite dramatic changes. You will recall that at the beginning of the year, we were at the peak of the election cycle, and that tends to resonate with relatively high interest rates in the market. But immediately after elections, you can notice that between March to September, overall interest rates on the various tenors that government has issued did decline. And then towards the end of the year, we had a slight bump upwards. But definitely year on year, where we started from and where we closed the year, definitely interest rates had declined by about 2 to 3%. So in that environment, I'm happy to report to you and to reconfirm to you the performance of the fund. I know that you do receive statements on a monthly basis that show the return on your funds that are invested. But for the 9 months performance, we are looking at a performance of 9.4%. Given that most of the money is invested in government bonds, which we call in technical terms fixed income, that return from those securities averaged about 10% for the 9 months. And the short-term placements that we have in treasury bills and fixed deposits, that return averaged about 7.8%. Comparing that with our benchmark being, say, a 3 months treasury bill. We use a 3 months treasury bill because you can access your money at an instant. So we would like to reconfirm that if our benchmark is a 3 months treasury bill and that return was 5.4%, then definitely we feel we are adding a lot of value to the members. As at the end of the year, we closed with an effective interest rate of 10.5, and for the month of June this year, for the statements that will come out, our running rate is at around 11.3%. So it has gone up given the circumstances that are prevailing in the market. So in terms of value proposition, as we see interest rates rising ever so slightly by about 1%, we believe that the flagship fund under the umbrella, the Sanlam Income Fund, will continue to provide value to not only corporates, SACCOs, and investment clubs, but also pension funds as well as individuals. We believe that the design of this fund, which is relatively low risk because we're only investing in government securities and fixed deposits, it provides that level of comfort. It also provides that level of flexibility in terms of withdrawals from members, and we've not had any challenges in that regard. To confirm, we are licensed as a fund by the Capital Markets Authority under the respective collective investment schemes, as the trustee had mentioned, and we do our very best as the fund manager to ensure that we remain within the provisions under the current regulations. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I'll be available to take questions from the holders later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mubale, and also for assuring to our clients that the current rate of return on the fund is about 11.3%. I guess that being said, we should expect top-ups from our clients who've come to today's AGM tomorrow, and hopefully that just highlights what you've mentioned, that the fund is open for a set range of investors, whether it's individuals, joints, corporates, investment clubs, SACCOs, or even pension funds. So as Mubale mentioned, the fund is open for a range of investors, and you can top up your fund using bank transfers or also using mobile money through our MTN pay bill as well. So please do reach out to us if you need any assistance on how you can top up your investment as well. Thank you. That being said, I'd now like to call upon Ms. Rosalyn Ochola, who's our custodian representing Standard Chartered Bank, to come and give her view for the report ended 31st December 2021.
Thank you, and good morning, unit holders. Good morning to everyone here. The custodian role is to do the safekeeping of the assets. I do have to also account to the trustee, as the trustee has an oversight role on what I do. The main reason why I'm here as a custodian is to actually do confirm that yes, we do have the assets for the Sanlam Income Fund, and what the fund manager has reported on is what we do have on our record in the books. Very briefly, we'll go into what do I do as a custodian. We service the fund. We have a very robust system as Standard Chartered. We have a very global business. We do manage the fund locally for you. So some of the highlights of what we do in Africa. We started this business when we took over Barclays Africa Business Custody in 2010. And since then, the business has grown. The assets under custody at $1.4 trillion. We have over 1,000 staff members that manage in the custody business. In terms of our coverage, we started out with only 10 markets globally. We are now at 40 markets directly, and we have 60 plus third-party markets that we access. Currently, the fund, of course, we only focus on Uganda because we're only still invested in Uganda. But in terms of being able to support the fund in, say, in the future when we are going across border, we'll be able to do that. We leverage a lot on technology to service our clients. Our vision is to be the provider of choice, so that because one of the things we do is that we are looking at growing investments and trade in Africa, Middle East, and Asia. We want to be there as our clients grow and prosper. And so how we do that is locally you have a team that supports the funds. It's the same service you'll get here is the same you'll get across the globe. The client experience also has to be uniform across the network where we support our clients. We've talked about what we do as a domestic. So what we have here for the fund is we do provide domestic custody services, which basically means that the fund is still invested only in Uganda. But in terms of if we were to go across the border, then we get into what we call a multi-direct. So we go from domestic, you're doing domestic and multi-direct in that the relationship is here. But if you want to access as the fund across, then we get into a multi-direct and we are able to support. The relationship remains with the Uganda team. So what does the custodian do? A custodian does settlement and safekeeping. The investment instruction comes in, I'm the one who handles it. I make sure it settles end to end. I service that asset. What does that mean? It means where there's a corporate action, I'm expecting income on the fund. When coupons are paid, I make sure it comes back. When there's a maturity on the fund, I make sure that also comes back. And at every given time, I must have a true reflection of what the fund is made of. We'll very quickly then to confirm. Another key aspect that custodians do globally to differentiate ourselves is market insights. We do this very, very robustly on a local basis and also globally. We go out to our clients to find out what are they thinking to do, whether institutional investors or other providers, the broker dealers. And we see where our clients are going. Then we develop a product, and our strategy then is aligned to what our clients are looking to do. Market insights also ensures that regulatory-wise, we advocate on behalf of our clients. What do they want to see in the various markets, also even in Uganda? What do we want to see our regulators do to grow our market? What do we want our market infrastructures do, like the Securities Exchange or even the Bank of Uganda? And we play a very key role in that aspect. Some of the things also we send out publications. If you're not on our mailing list, we can put clients on that mailing list directly to see what's happening globally in the financial markets. And then you get research reports from our research teams. The most important part of my presentation today is to confirm that the fund, the assets that we have under custody. As of December 31st, 2021, these are the asset classes we had. We had cash at the bank of 14,894,000. There were fixed deposits at the various banks of 1.8 billion shillings, and the government securities were 7.5 billion shillings. The fund 9.3 billion shillings. Thank you. That's the custodian's report for the year ended 2021.
Thank you, Roslyn, for making the custody report and also for showing to our clients that Standard Chartered Bank is, in fact, safeguarding their assets held or in custody with them. Next, I'd like to call upon our external auditor, Mr. Clive Mayombe, to propose for the report year ended 31st December 2021.
Good morning, unit holders and invited guests. My name is Clive Mayombe from PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I will read to you our report on the financial statements of the Sanlam Income Fund for the year ended 31st December 2021. We issued our report on the financial statements on the 29th of March 2022. I believe you've all received a copy of the full set of the financial statements that capture our report. So I'll just focus on the crux of our opinion, which is projected before you. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of Sanlam Income Fund as at 31st December 2021, and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the period then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards, and have been prepared in the manner required by the Collective Investment Scheme regulations, that is the regulations that cover financial and accounting matters. So unit holders, that's a clean opinion on your 31st December 2021 financial statements. I'd also like to confirm to you that we are independent of the fund within the definition of the Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Clive, for confirming the opinion from PwC. Unit holders, we should now move to the next session for today's, which is the question and answer session. We'll kindly request due to time to everyone limit their question, that is one per person, and we shall begin from the left-hand side of the room. Sorry, from my left-hand side of the room. So if in case you have any question, you could just put your hand up, and my colleague will come around with the mic. All right, I guess okay, we have one question there.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Albert. The question I would like to ask is that in case I would like to invest using my mobile phone just to make investment, is it possible to do that at the moment? Thank you.
We will take two more questions before we start answering them. All right, if there is none on the left-hand side of the table, we shall proceed to the middle of the room. I guess it's the